It is. Hey, Internet. Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. That means you have been paid for. That makes you immortal now. And he is not going to be long anyway in wrapping up this Veil of Tears. You found Stop the White Noise with Jonathan and Meridith. I am Jonathan.
And I'm Meridith.
And we are trying our round 2 of what happens Friday nights if we just shift things around here for our recording. What that means for you out there in listener land, thank you, those of you who are our fans, who have been with us for a long time, who do continue to support us on Subscribestar and on Patreon and all those places. We are, what it means for you is we're going probably from a 3-hour to 2-hour show for now. Although depending on how the conversation goes, we'll just talk. This is our date night in one way. I guess a date night in front of all of you. Because peer-to-peer modeling is really the best way to grow as an individual. And while it would be better to have some older friends who are married with kids to be your models, if you don't have that, we're here. So join us in the comments tonight. We got some questions racked up from madpxm.com/contact, but we can actually spread those out over a couple of shows if you want to get busy in the comments and ask about whatever. Although, of course, our forte right now is going to be the gentle way, how to live mindfully, spiritually as Christians in a time that could be the end of stuff. Something seems like it, but like maybe isn't the end of everything. And so where I wanted to start tonight, Meridith, was with what if I just stopped? Yeah, you laugh, but I really want you to unpack that. You're writing for us a little bit, not so much the process, but the concept. And then if you want to talk writing process, we can do that later. I'm all about teaching writing process. Part 3 of First Draft is up at RevFisk.com. So this is my, I hope someday, outline for how to write. And I've got the parts 1 through 3 are the thesis. They're the beginning there. Everything else will be coming back to what is already there. So it's there in embryo. It's the abstract of the whole thing. I want more Christian writers. I think we need more Christian fiction writers. I think we need more Christian nonfiction writers, historical fiction writers. And there are some out there, but we could use more. This is how Christianity goes forward, is we take things that are normal and we make them our own. And then we still do them and they spread. So that you are writing it all to me is very exciting. And I needed your headline yesterday when I saw it. And I didn't stop entirely, but it gave me pause.
Yeah, that blesses me.
Yeah.
Just a little view into like my mind and body right now. I don't know what it is about the idea of writing, but it's a sure way to get my heart racing. Like I just get physically excited. So you started talking about writing and I was like, oh, okay. Here I am. I'm going to talk about writing, which is silly. Yeah, but anyway, so
makes sense.
Be still, my heart.
That's how I get when I lose my pen. Here it is.
I'm excited about hearing about the fact that God used that piece to touch you. Yeah. And to speak to you in whatever way it needed to. Honestly, it's kind of raw. When I sent it in, I was like, this is way more raw than my last article. So I trust your editor's eye help me. Because what happened was I had a deadline and got writer's block and had been working towards creating and producing, and then push came to shove and that was my time to write, and then had nothing. And so the article is actually about me in that moment. And what does it feel like to have the pressure of a deadline, the inability to produce, and knowing if you just stop, you're still going to have all these pressures. And so it's a fight against like temporal pressure, and yet Christ coming in and saying, be still, and know that I am God. It was a focus on last Sunday in the readings at our church. We had, now I'm going to draw a blank. It's Matthew 11.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I believe that's right. Almost the whole chapter.
And then I zeroed in on the portion, I think it's verse 28, where Christ says, "Come to me, all who labor and are heavy laden, and I will give you rest." And that kept playing in my head over and over this week.
Yeah.
Because I was like, oh, Jesus, I really need rest right now. And I can't see it. But I know it's coming on Christmas Eve. There's going to be that moment of, it's all done. I don't have to prepare anymore. And then it was frustrating because I was like, I just want that Christmas Eve moment now.
Yeah, amen.
We still have, when I was writing, it was like 10 days.
Yeah.
How am I going to do this? And so it's, the article is, it's about recognizing that we don't need to follow or be pushed by all of the temporal pressures that we put on ourselves. We can be still and know that He is God. We can go to Him and find rest. And so as I continue through these next few days of Advent, it's one project at a time instead of all the crazy building up on me. And I've looked at the kids a few times, and I kind of mentioned this last week. I think at one point I was like, I don't know if our Christmas tree is going to get, well, okay, we don't have a Christmas tree, but I don't know if the decorations are going to be put up before Christmas. You laugh.
I love it. It's great. We all deserve what we're getting. That's kind of how I see it a little bit. This world, this fast-paced world.
Yeah.
We're doing it to ourselves.
And I spoke with some friends of ours, I think it was Sunday. Yeah, it was Sunday after church, and we were, all of us, it's kind of the 40-somethings crowd at church.
Yeah, it is. And that's right.
We were all...
Wait a minute.
Yeah, it is. It's kind of funny. So I'd hopped over from the 20-somethings crowd and joined the 40-somethings. Hey, what are you guys talking about?
It's like the hazard of being in all the crowds at once is you forget you belong to one of them. And
And
you get caught in it. You're like, wait a minute.
All of us were talking about like how busy we were.
Yeah.
And I stopped and I kind of asked, like, why? Why is it like this?
Yeah.
And I think the fact that we keep picking up good ideas, like Pinterest is a fabulous gift if you're wanting an idea, right?
Yeah.
But you start eating Pinterest and you start feeling like, well, I can't have a birthday party unless it looks like this. Or I have to do it like this because this is what everybody else is doing. Because you start seeing all of this.
Everything that seems like a good idea is not a good idea for you. Everything that someone else might benefit from is not something you will benefit from. So getting to the core that is not the things on Pinterest, but what you really care about will unlock grace. So that's something I wrote today. The same idea though.
Where can we find what you wrote?
That would be from the Ziklag Daily, the Ziklag Almost Daily. So my Almost Dailies are turning into something I conceived of a long time ago, which is my own daily newsletter called the Ziklag Daily. That was just going to be a sentence. It's a little more than a sentence. I'm not sure what it is. I know what it is. I don't know what it is. It's definitely not Mad Mondays. It's me getting out of the way of Mad Mondays so Mad Mondays can fly, I hope, as a true Christian news filter, a Christian weekly digest of the news. We're still working on a tagline, but it's like, Mad Christian Mondays, we're the good news.
Nice.
Yeah.
That's cute.
So, trying to get, a little of the flair of Fisk out and been building the RevFisk.com spot for a while, having fun with the art, really just having fun with the art. Someone's like, are you trying to make a point with the art today? Literally, they wrote that. Are you trying to make a point with the art? I think it's pretty. And if you don't, that's okay with me. Really.
It's really hard to be encouraging and positive through a computer.
I guess so. I've gotten some very encouraging comments on the other side of it. So anyway, in the Almost Dailies, I want to hear your thought. In the Almost Dailies, or the Zikli Daily, you're going to get my smart noting discipline every single day and thoughts about what's going on in the world that day. And so today, out of my smart noting discipline on Old Smart Notes, on smart noting, that section came out about getting rid of information, getting rid of cards. And actually it didn't come out of that note pile. It came out of a comment on the Discord about yesterday's smart note pile saying, but what about this pile of notes? Mm-hmm. And the answer is you don't need any of it. Maybe like 3 things, go through it once, grab the 3 things, but all of it could be, all could be. It all could be, but you don't need it right now. That's why you're not acting on it. And now it's just a pile. And then that's just weight, that's drag on your spirit. So that's where that came from today.
Yeah.
But you had a comment that I did kind of go over a little bit.
It was just, it goes right along with that concept. Why do we feel so overwhelmed? We keep picking up these great ideas and adding them to our quote unquote tradition or our preparations for Christmas, and we're not letting go of anything. So our sack is getting full to bursting. Yeah. And so we're feeling it, the weight of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So you get to that point of overwhelm, and there's not much you can do except take a deep breath and recognize, like, what am I doing this for?
So that brings back a thought that I think we kind of talked about this last night, maybe. Might have been yesterday. But it can also like expand. And that's this kind of game I was playing or am playing, if I can, in the mornings, if I'm up before the sun rises, is to just choose to believe, for the sake of today's, framework. Like, this is my calendar, okay? Mm-hmm. Well, Jesus is either coming back at sunrise or he's not. Mm-hmm. He'll come back tomorrow at sunrise. And that process of waiting with the intent of believing Christ will return, in no way, prophesying his return at the sunrise that day. But as he went, so he'll came, and the sunrise is definitely a sign of his resurrection, all these things. So we've got lots of biblical reasons to think, well, maybe, why not? The same idea is what Advent is for Christmas Day. Mm-hmm. Like, the whole point of Christmas Day is we're waiting for Jesus to come back by remembering how he came. And so if you want to join me on this one, why don't I just act right now, like the rest of Advent, act like it's okay because the world's going to end Christmas Day. Like, whatever else happens, but it's big words, huh? Whatever else happens between now and Christmas Day, it's okay because the world's going to end on Christmas Day. Like, that's what this season is for every year. Like, from ancient time. I'm not making that up. That's not my idea. That's the whole thing, right? Yeah. And what are we doing? Trying to fit everything in we can before, Gluttony Day, sadly. And a lot of you are going to go to church, so you know what I'm talking about. I'm not trying to scoff at anybody, but there's a real problem, right? There's real idolatry going on. What if I just stopped? Being still, the idea that you can't just be still. You can't wait. You have to do something. God helps those who help themselves. Someone might say the good book says, even though it doesn't say that. That's a thing that the Protestant work ethic, they call it too. Call it the Protestant shame ethic. The need to believe that God is so absent from the present world that if you don't fix it, it won't get done. That is deistic thought, right? If you're familiar with deism, this 1800s do-gooder notion that we can be like Christians but not, and just believe in the law and it'll all work out with a deistic God, but Jesus isn't really God. Mm-hmm. Thomas Jefferson, he's a nice guy and all, sleeps with his slaves and whatnot, and all that, It's so like, what is that religion of the far off God? It's what's become America, and Christians have been pulled into its wind. Mm-hmm. It isn't that everybody's just apostatized like intentionally, like they took tests and said, forget Jesus. But the wind is so strong. And so when Christians get together and they're like, whoo, it's rough out there. Yeah. Mm-hmm. It is. How do we discipline ourselves to not be so winded by the spirits of the age is a worthy question pursuit. That's what we're here for, really.
Right.
Stop the white noise. So
as I wrestled with my to-do list and the goals that I had set for myself, I kind of had in the back of my head this nagging pull to just retreat.
Yeah.
And get some seclusion.
Yeah.
But as I sat, so where I write is like the pass-through room of our house. So there's a piano there. The kitchen's right through a doorway. The front door's through another little doorway. Okay, let's be real. It's like the formal dining room. It's what it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And the 8 foot by 8 foot formal dining room.
Yeah. Big enough for a china cabinet and a little tiny table.
And a kitchenette table.
A kitchenette
table.
4 people.
Yeah, right.
So that's where I write. And the fun thing about being a mother who knows her children, I guess is how you could say this, is that when I do something, I don't have to call to my children to come. They just do. And so I'm sitting here. I have this deadline. I have this day carved out. And I'm trying to click into my computer something really magnificent. And all my people are around me doing their activities. And part of me is just like, I have to get out of here. But then I stop. Yeah. And it's like, this is my life. And so what I started to do was just describe my life, because I couldn't think of anything else to write.
Hey, wait, just for the first draft crowd, write what you know, right? You've heard it before. It's not that rocket science-y. Writer's block, you mentioned earlier.
Yeah.
Writer's block is because you're trying to write something you don't know. So stop. You know something. Write that. It might not be what you end up writing later, but it'll get you going.
And it's interesting to see what comes out on the page.
Let me give you.
You're just kind of clicking it.
Can I throw out one more cheat for everybody? Because this is a writer's block cheat. I don't want to lose it. Writer's block's tough for a lot of people. I don't have writer's block. I have not faced writer's block in a long. I got too much is my problem. I can't go back to it all and edit it all. So writer's block's sort of a ghost story that you tell yourself. And the magic of it is you think this is all smart notes, but this is actually deadpan out of Sanko or Aaron's smart notes. You look at the blank page and it stares back at you like you've got to come up with something to go there out of nothing, out of heaven, right? You're God creating out of nothing, right? At this moment. And you're like, I don't know, it's too much. So the trick is that, well, nobody does that. Everybody's cheating. Everyone's copying from somewhere. So copy something, like whatever it is, like open the Bible, find a verse, copy it. You'll be writing before you know it.
Yeah.
Translate, elaborate, activate. You just need somebody else's note to start with. You want to write your own story. You don't know how. Get somebody else's story. Start smart noting the first page and a half. You may not be able to keep it going the whole way. You might get half a book before you need to come up with something on your own. I mean, really, it's that's the trick. Writer's block is attempting to write what you don't know. Mm-hmm. So find something that someone else knows and write it, and you will find that you know more than you thought. Really.
Yeah.
So onto your part.
Yeah, I mean, I don't even know if that's an accurate representation of what I was experiencing. This is my process. I sit down and I pray, Jesus, give me the wisdom
Amen.
to speak through my writing, whatever it is that you want your people to hear.
Yeah, yeah.
And so I had been collecting notes and thoughts. Like I had a pile of smart notes. I was ready
Yeah.
to write about what a hard season this is.
Uh-huh.
Why is it hard? It's stinking lonely. Like any relationship issue that you can think of or have experienced in your life.
Did that come out in the article at all?
No.
No, not even a little bit, you don't think?
Probably because I was trying to create loneliness for myself so I could accomplish my goal.
Oh, interesting, yeah.
And I'm like, why am I doing this? Why am I running from the gifts that I have just so that I can make gifts for these people?
Yeah.
Why don't I just be here? So that's what kind of came
So I
out.
see that as not any different than what I was kind of saying, except for that what you knew intuitively was that what you had on your notes was not what you wanted to write.
Yeah.
At all. And part of you is like, I'm supposed to look at these notes and write them. And then like the smart, dumb part of your brain is like, and then I will decide that I don't want to write it like a wise person and I'll write something else that makes sense then, rather than your gut's like, I already know that. See that pile? It's not what I want to work on.
Yeah.
Your intuition has knowledge. Your body has knowledge. It wants to get out. And that's where, okay, again, I still recommend, I mean, I bet you kind of did. Did you really put words blank on the page, or did you went to a Bible verse?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I went to the Bible verse that
Boom.
on Sunday I was like,
Yep. That's what I needed, right?
I need that, Jesus.
Yeah.
I need to go
So,
to
and
you.
then elaborate right out of it. So, that's smartening in action. And really that's the point I was making on my note too, is like, you didn't even need the pile.
Yeah.
You don't even need the pile. No, people are so lonely. They don't need to hear about loneliness. They need to hear come and rest. Right? So like it really is a beautiful process, learning. And smart noting is just applied learning to learning. You might have called it the scientific method once, kinda, but not exactly. You said something else really valuable I wanted to say again, but I don't remember. So we'll move on.
Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been a true blessing to be invited to participate in this, and not what I thought I was praying for, but super exciting.
Yeah, I'm excited about writers writing. I'm excited about Christians who are paying attention to what's going on in the world, who have knowledge and expertise in all sorts of fields, and I want you to write. I want you to write for the Mad Tank at madpxm.com. Write about whatever. What did you learn since 2020 because it made you angry and you figured it out? I'm not talking about a bunch of links to conspiracy. I'm talking about what you do with your real life now, right? How are you growing? How are you changing the world in your neighborhood? How can we better link together? And of course, that's what the Dark Shore Universe is for as well on Discord. You can always join us there. It's one of the best underground Christian networks in the world, probably. Gotta be careful with the word Christian these days, though. Yeah, because like it gets attached to the word nationalists, and then it's bad, right? Because they say so and stuff. So that's a different story. Brief History of Power. More of that with Dr. Kuntz if you want. Find that on Spotify. Let's talk about what's here though. We got some questions for tonight. One from Jeremiah 40 and 41, which will take us a while to go through. It's pretty intense. We also got a Psalm 45 question, some questions about animals, and a question about Gen Xers and the nuance of generations. So we'll get there as we go, but I'm going to try to prioritize comments a little bit tonight too, if you've got comments out there and want to join us to talk. Otherwise, we'll just do our normal thing. But I do want to talk a little bit about our positioning too. And the intentional shifting that we've done with what was just my voice and my face on one channel onto a number of different channels to try to build more good Christian stuff on the capital of the footprint I'd made on the internet in the WeTV days. And knowing that I wasn't going to be WeTV forever anyway, and that was an old thing. So what's next and how? And I searched for a while to find it. But as we're really locking into that, one of the things that is becoming clear is that we probably will not have an everlasting life on YouTube. There's a lot of going on right now, though, a lot of legal stuff going on right now. So I don't know what the future holds. But, as we plan to make a move possibly to Rumble, definitely to Rumble, we're already there in kind of repeat stuff that gets put, but like into streaming on Rumble as our main demographic or main approach. We want to let all of you out there that listen and watch know about that. We will have things that are reposted here for sure. But it's a time to also really kind of grain in on what are we? What are we doing? Why are we doing this? Do we need to keep doing this? Do we want to keep doing this? Does everybody else want us to keep doing this? Are you tired of Fisk doing YouTube stuff yet? We've done a lot of talk about my growth. We definitely promote my ideas that in some part the last couple of years it's been, what's it mean when you realize you haven't grown up yet and you don't have any male leadership anywhere in your life and you've got to find a way to become a man on your own? What does that look like? Well, I just did it on TV for you. So it's hard. It's rough, but I'm not planning to stay in that theme. And we're positioned here, you and I, tonight to have this show again be about what's it like to be Christian 40-somethings with kids right now. And I'm getting warm.
Do you need me to turn the heater off?
Oh, that'd be good. Can you do that? It's right there.
It's kind of like that frog in the boiling pot of water.
It's beautiful. The warmth from the electric fire. Before I got hot. Direction.
We are 40-something.
40-something with kids watching all happen. So here's where I think this show can really just blow open, and that would be why we get kicked off of YouTube and on to Rumble someday, but maybe not yet. Okay. I'm a pastor. You're my wife.
Amen. Hallelujah. I'm
a Christian. You're a homemaker. We live in a neighborhood.
You're a Christian. I'm a homemaker. I'm sorry.
I love you. You're so helpful. This is good. It's on the right start. This will get everyone listening. Oh, good. It's good. Thanks, honey. I'm trying to develop our identity.
No, you're doing really good.
We're both related to all these things, right? So the idea is that and I'm trying to speak to a lot of people who've spoken to me in the past, ye old critics. Why is a pastor talking about this kind of stuff? You should only talk about law and gospel, blah, 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 blah.
Oh.
And so look, there's a place where a pastor does need to be a public figure if he's going to be a public figure. He can't not realize the impact of his office on the world. So there is that. But a pastor is also a real man with real spirit, real trial, real fear. Paul says sometimes better not to be married because of how bad it will be. You can give your attention to the kingdom, that kind of thing. Okay. So I'm a pastor, and I'm also just a Christian man drawing a salary as a career man in a church body, old mainline church body. I'm actually paid to do what I believe. Okay. But there's a lot of people who operate doing what I believe without being paid in it or without the kind of system that I'm in as a pastor. Okay. Everyone at their church is a pastor, or there's 7 pastors and they're half related to the other pastor because they're his sons, right? Like there's just a different view of what it means versus like MDiv, 4-year post-grad, Greek, Hebrew, Magi and all that, right? So, but I'm just a guy trying to make a living. Like that degree is useless for this age, in terms of like the world. Like I walk into General Motors or whatever. Yeah, whatever. I gotta prove something. So the point is, I've got to live a normal life too, with a salary and a paycheck and everything else. I don't got a parsonage, right? So so here we are with 5 kids, and what's going on in our country, And I want to be open and frank about it. So what does that mean? I don't know, because I don't know. What I know is this: I got a board over there on the wall, which is a place that stuff that I don't want to forget yet goes. And it comes off there when it needs to, but it's just what I don't want to forget yet. And it's the things that, as I've been trying to stop the white noise, these are ones that are like, it doesn't even matter about the white noise. We got to deal with this. And the one that's the most profound to me, sticks out loudest, is really where it all started. And it's that we can't maintain the electric grid now, let alone if somebody does something to us, like attack or blah, 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 conspiracy, blah, 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 blah. Okay. So like now, California rolling brownouts for years. Illinois just made it okay to build a nuclear plant here again, but that ain't going to help soon. And the thing about Illinois is, why do I say now? Why can't I say it with such conviction? Because of local actual humans who explain to me how at their job they can't replace the stuff that's used to keep the grid going because they can't get enough of it in time. And so they're using, used tires, as it were. Okay. So like to me, this isn't scaremongering. This isn't clickbait. This isn't me trying to be acerbic. This isn't me trying to freak out or get whatever. No, this is like, no, every day as I'm praying to Jesus about my congregation and my family and the street and the city and this country, that one I want in front of my face. The issue isn't that we're going to be attacked. The issue is that we have lost all capacity to maintain ourselves. If we get attacked, that'll be bad. But like, we got issues to deal with right in front of us. And so now, that's a story from far away. That's also a story that can be near. I'm not claiming I'm afraid to lose electricity this week. I don't think I will. I don't think everybody will. I think there will be people who do. I think it will happen more and more. And what is worst is if the Christians just pretend it isn't happening. But why would we do that? Why would we pretend it isn't happening? Because the TV story tells us it isn't happening? Well, that's a terrible reason. And so, if anything else, that's the white noise we're here to stop. And, of course, promoting biblical prayer, psalm reading, Proverbs reading, Jesus' name, all that. I mean, that's going to be your daily meat if you want to stop the white noise in your day. But here, I want us to talk about these things, and yet also in the freedom of recognizing that many of these things have no solution. So acceptance of God's will, being still and knowing that he's in charge of the whole thing, that's the solution. But that still being said, empathy, charity, and stewardship does mean preparedness, right? So stewardship is not saving up as much as you can so you can have money to make money so you don't have to do anything anymore. It's gluttony, sloth. Yeah. Stewardship is knowing that winter is coming. And so you get ready for winter. And when winter's over, you celebrate spring. And that applies to more than just an annual. That applies to knowing in decades, in 100-year segments. I don't know if there's like a precise life cycle timeline, although there's a fascinating book called Pendulum that says it does. But in either case, the seasons are definitely going to swing. You can see when winter's coming. And yeah, it's fall and it's a dark winter right now. And we've been talking about that on Brief History Power for 2 years. And we know we're in that kind of a window. We're in a window where the government is untrustworthy and fighting with itself through legal systems where opponents are attempting to put each other in jail. That's a banana republic. It's a fake republic. Vladimir Putin was interviewed recently and talking about how America can't speak for democracy. That we're not democracy. That's his line, right? We're not democracy. But that's so what are we going to do as Christians? Do we have to like fix it? No. But to be able to be still and attend to the things that you do have ownership over. Because I can't stop Putin from saying what. And I can't get, Biden to do blah, but what I can do, is have a conversation with my wife, my son. I can take care of the yard before winter really hits, right? I can get my house in order, keep my house in order. And that I think if Christians strive to do that, there's more than enough to do, especially if we value time with each other, because then when you're done, that's when you have time with each other. That's the reward.
Yeah. It also helps us to prioritize our task list. So is it important for me to achieve this goal or do this task?
Right.
And is it more important that I get that done than spend time with this person that's in my life or in front of me?
Yeah.
Is me time more valuable than us time?
Yeah. Yeah. And to believe that the answer is no.
Right.
Even though growing those muscles are going to maybe take some work for the 21st century digital people that we've become. And yes, Bad Religion was a pretty decent band.
Yeah, we've been convinced by popular culture to focus on self so much that we become these little entities of our own. And we saw the culmination of that in 2020 Wake Up, when we were convinced that we could separate from all community and isolate ourselves, and that we'd be healthier and safer that way. And the concept of Christianity is around loving one's neighbor. It is around common union. It's around community. And so to wake up and then stop the white noise of the popular culture and cling to God's culture is that's kind of what we're after here.
Yeah. Being set apart, right? And not in some way where I get to say, look at me, I'm set apart. More just like, no, I'd like to go retreat to that place where we are healed, and where we walk like it, which by no means is going to mean no troubles. So how's it at 116 again? Sheol will chase after me. The grave will lay hold of me, but I shall call upon the name of Jesus Christ. I'm just kind of caught thinking about the last couple of days and all of the unexpected bad things that I waded through though. They're the two big ones that were like really big, like in the last 48 hours are both over already, kind of, probably. And really like astoundingly, amazingly with positive results on my end. And ultimately, if I look at the big picture of everything and it just, where I was, I don't know, was that yesterday afternoon? In terms of my capacity to even like think there was a tomorrow to come, it felt pretty bad because it was the one thing from the day before I'd kind of put it aside, but then the thing with the parking lot and it just it was just I was like, what am I doing? Why am I here? There's a lot of that, and now like a day later it's whoa, that's incredible. I'm here for all the reasons I thought I was here before, and that big smoke screen isn't like something you need to repeat or try to make happen again or whatever, but it's a storm that it came and it went. And a season. And that's a powerful thing. I don't know. Christianity cannot sell you fixed emotions. It's just not gonna be. Somehow in knowing that, a lot of Christianity that's striving not to be deceived by those who are trying to sell you emotion. Mm-hmm. We don't have any ability to talk about our emotions. Not in a healthy way, or to deal with them with each other in a healthy way. And so, there's work to do on a lot of different levels, and it's not just pointing out the apostate church up the street. If you're going to say that other church has a problem, it better be that they don't love each other. Really, that's the thing. If you're going to accuse them of something, obviously, if they're not Trinitarian, you're not going to commune with them. Let them be. Right? But Christians, if we're going to come together right now and rebuild, it won't be because we have the right philosophy. Mm-hmm. It'll be because we have the right spirit. And that spirit will be one who binds the community that is the true Christian church together in love. It can't not be that. And anything that's not that is masquerading as the true Christian church. Mm-hmm. Visible churches do this all the time. And the true Christian church is there underneath it all the time, right? But there's no reason to sit and enable that. It doesn't have to look that way. Just because the state church is being operated by the state doesn't mean it always has to be operated by the state. And so that all means to me, we're at a time that is really bad, but it's a time that is really good. And Jeremiah 30 and 31, the restoring of the fortunes of the people of Jerusalem before their eyes, through and after the destruction, as they go to Babylon and find themselves really better off, 10 years in. To just believe that look at next year that way. Like, I don't know what's coming next year, America. It doesn't look happy. I'm not going to sit here and pretend to you I can't smell the absolute disaster that's just reaming down on us right now from so many world global levels, all probably part of a show because it's election year, right? I'm not going to pretend it's not there. But I'm going to be pretty convinced it won't be there in 10 years. Whatever it does, that will pass, and it will be in something far more normal. Even if it means that we are having to kind of rethink how we use these tools, or maybe it means we don't have access to them. And that's up to God. I wonder that again and again. Like, is he going to let us keep these toys that we're just so evil with? I mean, if he really wants to grow more humans for heaven before he burns the vineyard, the easy way to do that is to save the Christians and take away electricity. That's the easy way to do that. Everything resets. Everything resets. It's a fair playing. All the money's gone. How valuable are you? It becomes very quickly. And Christians are valuable. Christians find other Christians valuable just for being Christian. Nobody else acts this way except small families. So we're poised to survive anything, and that's our religion. That's our God. Hallelujah.
Yeah. Jeremiah 30 verse 10 says, "Therefore do not fear, O my servant Jacob, says Jesus Christ, nor be dismayed, O Israel, for behold, I will save you from afar, and your seed from the land of their captivity. Jacob shall return, have rest, and be quiet.
No one shall make
him afraid. For I am with you, says Jesus Christ, to save you. Though I make a full end of all nations where I have scattered you, yet I will not make a complete end of you. But I will correct you in justice, and will not let you go altogether unpunished."
Undisciplined. So, I chasten you in justice, do not let you go undisciplined, right? So, and then the next line, you must learn to see your wound is incurable. So he's we're going to live through the next 5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Whatever America does, whatever the world does, if we're not wrapped up like a cloud with Jesus coming back, we're going to live through it. So that's him chasing us in justice. If we've been happy in the rank idolatry of America, just kind of picking our noses for 40 years, well, yeah, then we're going to get brought to our knees with everybody else. Whatever that, you might lose whatever you thought you could never lose. Plumbing. That's what I've been saying I'm thankful for plumbing in the presence of the church, so that we would pray for plumbing, like since way before 2020. Plumbing and dentists, talk about things that change the world, right? Keep your teeth clean, a little hygiene, and make the poop go away. It's beautiful, right? And are we guaranteed those things until Jesus gets back? No, we're not. We're not. And the more they become magic to us that we can't fix, we don't know what they do, then the less guaranteed they are. And the less that you need an actual collapse for those things to go away, they can just be taken away by the people who say, we take these away, or you do what we say. Mm. When you're on the plantation, you're on the plantation. Wake up, America. Wake up. But like, again, as Christians, like, so I'm on a plantation. All right. I will be good at what I do. And I will see the other as valuable and seek to serve. In my place too, by the way. Mm-hmm. Seek to serve doesn't mean just grovel and, do whatever people say. It means, what is your skill? What is your tendency? What have you hewn your hands to be, right? If it's real, you don't have to tell people that. Everyone knows it. They can see it. When you work and you show, they can see it. Right? And so be that. Be more of that.
Yeah. And in Jeremiah 31, verse 3, Jesus has appeared of old to me. I guess it's actually Jeremiah who says this. Jesus has appeared of old to me, saying, yes, I have loved you with an everlasting love. Therefore, with loving kindness, I have drawn you.
You shall be
Again,
built.
I will build you, and you shall be rebuilt, O Virgin of Israel.
Yeah. Hear the word of Jesus. O you nations, declare it in the islands far away. Say, he who scattered Israel is gathering, keeping as a shepherd does his flock. Jesus Christ redeeming Jacob from the hand of those too strong for him. So come now. I add a little bit here. Stream to the heights of Zion. Taste and see the goodness of the Lord. There's hope for your future. I'm going to talk about that. All right. So there's hope for your future. This is the word of Jesus Christ. Jeremiah 31. It's also in Jeremiah 29. The famous line. I have hope for you. Behold, I know the plans I have for you, declares the Lord, Jesus Christ. Plans to prosper you, not to harm you, to give you hope and a future. And I want to be really, really clear on my position on this, because it's been a mixed idea in the past. I've taught with some people teach this way, some teach it this way. I would make it really clear. I am going to say this is just wrong. If anyone teaches you this, they're just wrong. Which is that this is a promise only for old Israel. It's only for old Israel before Jesus comes. And then if you know the context, you'll hear that Jeremiah is talking to the people of Judah about their return from the exile. And so you can't apply it to yourself as a Christian. And I've heard people preach that. I've heard them preach it with vigor. And I've not been angry enough at how much they stole from me in the moment I gave them even a moment of my ear. That the promises are indeed for us, absolutely for us. That is the gospel. That is the gospel, is that the promises are for us. And the promise is that Jesus is going to give us hope and a future. And that goes for today, that goes for tomorrow, that goes for next year, that goes from a decade from now, and that goes from the absolute day of Jesus Christ's return. And the key to that understanding is to believe that the day is the day is the day. The day of Jesus Christ is not only in the future, and it's not only the day of the cross, it's not only the day you're baptized, it's today. Today is the day of salvation. What about tomorrow? Tomorrow will be the day of salvation. Tomorrow for you, because we'll call it today. It'll be the only day you know, it'll be the only day you live, and when eternity comes, it will not pass away, because there's only today. And yes, is there a final day when it's going to change? Yup, absolutely. But that doesn't stop that great day from being here already in you by the promises of the gospel, the good news. That's the old promises delivered today, which is that you have God saving you today, here, now, while you wait. From everything all the time the way you want? No. But from everything all the time? Yes. Sometimes through fire and flames. Absolutely. Read the book. Daniel. Hey, everybody, stop praying for 3 days or something, okay? And what's he do? On my roof, in front of you. Did he think he was getting out easy? He just knew. That's all. He just knew. They throw me the lions, I die, and it's okay. Because I got power they don't even know about. They can't even see. They don't believe, right? That's who we are now. So what's Klaus Schwab got on us? He's a puppet, James Bond TV show villain. I almost don't believe any of that stuff because it's so fabricated, except for I know the devil's that wicked that we can be that ironic. On the last day, it's going to be one piece of a rerun as we look at that, the movies and then the real life, and what morons we must be. But that is what it is. We, the citizenry, don't have to bow to how's the story go? The fable. The emperor's new clothes. We don't have to believe that the man behind the curtain is so very powerful and strong, and he can just do all these things he does. Anytime you watch somebody being interviewed on TV, they just look so much more powerful than they really are in real life. I'm realizing this more and more, and how manipulatable this is. Oh my goodness. Because again, I'm not watching, but I do look at Twitter, and there's video that comes on Twitter whether you want it to or not. It's kind of not so good. But you see things like Jeff Bezos in his new interview with some guy who, I don't know, but he's got like hundreds of thousands of followers for his podcast. So apparently he just like made it on his own because he's cooler than I am. Or maybe he's interviewing Jeff Bezos. Oh, it's a setup. Okay. It's a setup. But Jeff Bezos, who's the son of I'm going to lose it. Jeff Bezos, famous politician, wealthy man, trying to change the world for evil, usually, if I'm getting this right. Oh, I'm going to confuse him with somebody, though. Doesn't matter. The point is, the setup of the interview in the video seconds, this guy's in his 50s. He's bald. He's yoked. He's got an open collar with flair. He's sitting. It's all so poised. It's all so good looking. This guy's making a run for, I want you to know who I am. Mm-hmm. I'm going to spend all the money I have to look as good as I possibly can. And what comes across that screen is so manufactured, is so polished, it is so canned that you can't, it's almost like you're better off never having seen it if you want to know who the person is. You're better off seeing them live first. Hi, friends. So it's true. It's just true. It's the power of these things. You don't have to subject yourself to believing that power's story. I'm not saying you're not going to be able to, you're going to see stuff, you're going to watch your video, whatever. But you don't have to believe its story about itself and how utterly powerful it is. You can learn to discern, oh, look what they're doing. Look at the trick they played, right? Mm-hmm. See how they're lining this up. See how they're trying to sell me one more time. That battle, that's not something you just get to choose whether you want to fight or not. You either fight that battle or you get overwhelmed by the media. You get overwhelmed by it. They won't stay away. I still can't believe what our kids find out about that. I don't talk about. Just culture, the worst stuff too. It's like I can't think of anything off the top of my head, but the Christmas song that was up there a moment ago. And that was Hebrew was bringing it to us to show us how bad it was. But there's other stuff, they'll bring up a reference to something cultural, and I'm just like, how did you even learn about that?
Yeah, there was a song that one of our daughters brought up this evening that is called "Santa, Can You Hear Me?" And in it, it's essentially we were just kind of having a casual conversation about how Santa Claus has become this god of winter or god of Christmas, but there's no Christ in it.
If you just listen to the songs as prayers, they're quite telling.
And she was praying. I don't know if this one specifically said, but there is a theme now that our teenage daughters are noticing in the pop culture, where you pray to Santa for a romance in the wintertime. Like, I don't want toys, but I want somebody to cuddle up with.
Chestnuts roasting on an open fire. All that.
Yeah.
Correcting my Jeff Bezos comment, Darth Mick points out, which I knew, but then I confused myself. Jeff Bezos is the CEO of Amazon, and George Soros' name ran through my head then, and I was like, but he's the guy who owns it, and then they crashed into each other. So, he's the CEO of Amazon, so he's the one who's managing this company we're buying everything from them, and they're buying everything else. But the power to look good and to control the narrative. So your power as a Christian family is to fight back by distilling what stories you choose to believe together, and that does mean talking about those things, right? You can't just say, what movies did you watch this week, kids? You know, it's got to be, what are the things we agree on? What are the things we believe together? Forming a common language, which is where Bible reading is just it's amazing. It doesn't have to be supernatural for it to be as amazing as it is. And then it's supernatural too.
Yeah.
It's really something. Speaking of that, unless you got something else to jump on, we can go over to one of these questions from viewers,
that
and dig into some actual Bible tonight here, because why not on a Friday night get into more Jeremiah? The blessing of King Jesus to you both, says Janet. I was reading through Jeremiah and came to the part where the governor Gedaliah is warned that Ishmael, son of Nethaniah, is plotting to murder him on behalf of the Ammonites. Who is this man? Why is an Israelite working with the Ammonites? And why did they want to murder Gedaliah? Ancient power structures and politics are beyond me. Like modern ones for all of us too, I suppose. Looking for insight, because it seems random that Ishmael should suddenly kill Gedaliah, who disregards the warning as slander, as well as the other men who come mourning to the ashes of the temple. I want to understand the Old Testament more. Cool. So let's see if we can get over there to Jeremiah chapter 40. And we're going to start at verse 7, I think. Let's see. I looked at this before, and I'm summarizing what happens before this. You know, Jerusalem has fallen. It's the end of the Old Testament, kind of, right? It's the end of the kingdoms, and the kings of Judah have had their hand already at being puppets. That is, one was taken away, his son's taken away, the uncle's on the throne. He rebels. You know, Babylon's kind of done. But the thing about these ancient countries that would conquer other ancient countries, they really didn't want to rule. They just wanted to tax you. Like they had no interest in like fixing your roads or, you know, anything like that. They just wanted to tax. And so, they come in and they kill the guys that are in charge. They fight in the field of battle, you know, usually in front of a city or something like that. And then they look around and they basically see who didn't help fight, who said, we'll wait. And they'll pick one of them and say, well, you're in charge now. Can you do it? You know, yeah, I'll get that much taxes to you by next year. I promise you. Right. And now you're Gedaliah. Or yeah, well, let's get into that here. So that's kind of what happens. Right. So, verse 7, and when all the captains of the armies who were in the fields, they and their men heard that the king of Babylon had made Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, governor in the land, and committed to him men, women, children, and the poorest of the land who had not been carried away captive to Babylon. Then they came to Gedaliah at Mizpah, Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, Johanan and Jonathan, the sons of Kareah, Seraiah, the son of Tanhumeth, the sons of Ephi, the Nethamite. Oh, goodness. It's even getting me. The Netophathite, and Jezaniah, the son of Maacathite, they and their men. So, I'd love to know more about all those things. I got no idea. But what you have here then is the king of this foreign power who's conquered, and he's killed the nobles who were resisting him. He's putting another noble in charge of the land for him so he can leave. And now there's a group of other nobles who are going to come talk to that guy, right? They don't like this, basically. And Gedaliah, the son of Achim, the son of Shaphan, took an oath before them and their men, saying, "Do not be afraid to serve the Chaldeans. Dwell in the land and serve the king of Babylon, and it shall be well with you. As for me, I will indeed dwell at Mizpah and serve the Chaldeans who come to us. But you gather wine and summer fruit and oil, and put them in your vessels, and dwell in your cities that you have taken." Likewise, when all the Jews who were in Moab, along with the Ammonites and Edom, and who were on all the countries, heard that the king of Babylon had left a remnant of Judah, and that he had set over them Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, then all the Jews returned out of all the places where they had been driven, and came to the land of Judah, to Gedaliah at Mizpah, and gathered wine and summer fruit in abundance. Right. So like Babylon's merciful. Nebuchadnezzar, like he does great destructive things to the Judean kings who rebel against him, but he puts in place, he wants the people to live. He wants the taxes. He doesn't want them to die. He wants the taxes. So he puts this guy in charge, and this guy says, "Hey, everybody, there's time in the season. We can actually go and get the fruit. We can survive the winter. It's going to be okay," right? So let's just serve this new king, which, by the way, is what Jeremiah has been preaching. This is what's really at the root of this story here. Gedaliah, doing what Gedaliah says, is what Jeremiah is telling people to do. Right. His general message is submit to the king of Babylon and it will go well with you. But moreover, verse 13, Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces that were in the fields came to Gedaliah at Mizpah and said to him, "Do you certainly know that Baalis, the king of the Ammonites, has sent Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, to murder you?" But Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, did not believe them. So now here you got this guy Ishmael that was in that whole group that came, and it would seem that he's got an interesting name, Ishmael. I have not done the research to look into his lineage, so he could not be an Israelite, but I'm assuming he's an Israelite, but he's maybe got a mixed pedigree. And here he comes up from the borderlands to this new governor that's been put in place for the others, and the local king down there says, hey, now's our time. You see, now's our time. You're with me, right? Right. And so that's what this guy is now. It's out. It got leaked, in fact, that this is what's happening, right? Gedaliah did not believe that this was going to happen, right? So the intrigue is just ignored. Then Johanan, the son of Kareah, spoke secretly to Gedaliah in Mizpah, saying, "Let me go, please, and I will kill Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah. And no one will know it. Why should he murder you so that all the Jews who are gathered to you would be scattered and the remnant in Judah perish?" But Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, said to Johanan, the son of Kareah, "You shall not do this thing, for you speak falsely concerning Ishmael." So that's an interesting just turn of the story. I mean, why does he get deceived? Why is he willing to be deceived? I'm not sure that Gedaliah is necessarily a good or faithful person. I can't speak to that part of the story. So who knows why he is being foolish or not? Who knows how much the people that are following him are actually responding to or following the promises and declarations of God? Because they were also supposed to leave, right? They were supposed to go to Babylon, and they're still here. So there's a lot of kind of like going on. But what I hopefully you can see for sure is you have a puppet governor whose blood tied to the land, but seen as a sellout by the locals to some extent. He will have to be seen as a sellout by some who would rather have power for themselves, and now they're going to form alliances to try to get that power. This isn't ancient politics. This is like how every like henpecking den pack of men club group of people acts. This is the way we are with each other, and this is the way we pursue each other's positions. We see weakness, we see betrayal, we take to ourselves, right? And so it's just going to happen here. So verse 1 of chapter 41. Now it came to pass in the 7th month that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, the son of Elishama, of the royal family and of the officers of the king. So he's being sent by Ammon, but now you find out he's actually got bloodline and a claim to the throne. This guy's going to claim the throne. He's like, forget you, steward of Babylon. I'm back, right? But who is he? Nobody. He's not a son of David. Okay. He's just of the royal family. And they bred together in Mizpah, so he's going to do this really horrible thing, which is breaking ancient tradition, right? You eat with someone, then murder him. Then Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, and the 10, but it's for the kingdom. It's for the kingdom, isn't it? Yes. And the 10 men who were with him arose and struck Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam, the son of Shaphan, with the sword. Again, traitor, right? Sellout. Killed him, with whom the king of Babylon had made governor over the land, which means king of Babylon's coming back with armies usually. Ishmael also struck down all the Jews who were with him, that is, with Gedaliah at Mizpah, and the Chaldeans who were found there, the men of war. So, the small troop that belonged to the governor that had gone over to work with Babylon. And it happened on the 2nd day after he had killed Gedaliah, when as yet no one knew it, that a certain men came from Shechem, from Shiloh, and from Samaria, 80 men with their beards shaved and their clothes torn, having cut themselves with offerings and incense in their hand to bring them to the house of Jesus Christ. Man, who takes their religion that seriously? Very few people. My goodness, what a thing. And they just show up at that time. God's timing. That one hit me today again and again. The timing thing. Now, going on, verse 6. Now Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, went out from Mizpah to meet them, weeping as he went along. And it happened as he met them that he said to them, come to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. So it was when they came into the midst of the city that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, killed them. But this guy wants to be the king of the Jews. What's he doing? He's getting, more wrath on Judah is what he's getting. Yeah. So he killed them. And again, here you are, you just spent your whole life working as a carpenter to save enough money to make this pilgrimage to Jerusalem with your beard shaved off in repentance for your family's inherited sin because somebody was a leper a long time ago, and you just want to go, and this everything you get and you're dead. And what a thing. I mean, this is the world without Christianity. I mean, that is the message. That is the message. I'm going to lose the verse. So he killed them, cast them into the midst of a pit, he and the men who were with him. Again, so once you start a rebellion, once you start a mutiny, and what are you going to do? He's afraid, right? Why would he do this? The guy's afraid. The guy's, what happens when you are attempting to take on a power that's greater than you? You're going to become paranoid. That's what's going to happen, right? And so he overreacts. He's not the leader he wishes he was. He bites off more than he can chew, especially by rejecting the word of God to Jeremiah, killing Gedaliah. And now he's going to double down on that, right? What does Saul do? It's a recollective of Saul killing the priest at Nob, right? But 10 men who were among them said to Ishmael, do not kill us, for we have treasures of wheat, barley, oil, and honey in the fields. We got some money. I can pay. So he desisted and did not kill them among their brethren. I mean, what a guy. Now the pit into which Ishmael had cast all the dead bodies of the men whom he had slain because of Gedaliah was the same one Asa, the king, had made for fear of Baasha, the king of Israel. That's an amazing throwback to a piece of history right there. Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, filled it with their slain. Then Ishmael carried away captive all the rest of the people that were in Mizpah, the king's daughters, and all the people who remained in Mizpah, whom Nebuzaradan, I love that name, the captain of the guard, had committed to Gedaliah, the son of Ahikam. And Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, carried them away. But, verse 11, when Johanan, the son of Kareah, and all the captains of the forces that were with him heard of all the evil that Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah, had done, they took all the men and went to fight with Ishmael, the son of Nethaniah. And they found him by the great pool that is in Gibeon. So it was when all the people who were with Ishmael saw Johanan the son of Kareah and all the captains of the forces who were with him, they were glad. Then all the people whom Ishmael had carried away captive from Mizpah turned around and came back and went to Johanan the son of Kareah. We need to like celebrate Johanan the son of Kareah more often. This guy is like a boss master. Maybe it goes bad later and I don't remember, but he's faithful. He warns him. He's concerned about the rule of the governor so that the people of Israel can be safe. And then after the murder, he goes after the traitor and the murderer, the guy who's killing all these other people, and they rally to him, right? This guy's nobody, and this guy's everybody. This guy's awesome. Where'd it go? And they departed and dwelt in the habitation of Shimam, which is near Bethlehem. Like shepherds might do. As they went on their way to Egypt, because of the Chaldeans, for they were afraid of them. Oh no, because Ishmael the son of Nethaniah had murdered Gedaliah the son of Ahikam, whom the king of Babylon had made governor in the land. Now going to Egypt was a mistake. Jeremiah is going to meet them and say, "Don't go."
Do not go.
Yeah. So never mind. This is why we don't like Johanan. That's too bad. He was cool up to that point. But so the question is like, what is this doing in my Bible, and what am I supposed to do with it? And it's kind of it's understandable. Like if you grow up reading the stuff that they would give you in Sunday school, you're never going to come across anything like this ever in your religion. And you're going to be like, what is this thing? Well, remember, your religion, Christianity, is not a philosophy. It's just the truth, which then largely includes history, right? Like history, if it actually exists, is just what actually happened. So it's just the truth. So what you have here in Jeremiah's account is just the truth of what happened. And you say, well, why? Why did God let it happen? Why did God let a lot of things happen? I don't know. There's a lot of bad stuff that goes on, for the good of the church, for the good of the elect, to bring his glory into mankind. I mean, that's why. I mean, those answers don't explain this. Well, what explains this? Wicked men doing what wicked men do. And that's where the gold is here. That's why I think guys do resonate to this, is because you can begin to understand other men through the tales of men when they're true, right? If you're reading Harry Potter and what's the kid, Lightning Fist Boy, Greek guy. It was a great idea. Take the Greek myths and make it for kids. That was a great idea. I had that idea. Sparrow.
What is his name? I can't remember.
If all you're reading are modern stories about American problems, then it's going to be very difficult to develop a masculine sense of duty, righteousness, integrity, anything really. Especially, I mean, have you noticed how many of these stories about boys are written by women? I mean, really, it's kind of odd, isn't it? So let me suggest to you that, this kind of bedtime story for your 7-year-old boy, he doesn't need to know why. He just needs to know, like, the bad people fought and killed each other. And then the good guy said, don't go be bad people. And then they went and they were bad people. And then they died too. Oh, like that lesson for a 8-year-old is really clear, right? I don't think they don't think it. They just kind of are like, murder, death, don't do it. They internalize the story. And so that's, I think, the value here, right? And then so as an adult, you have to kind of take your sensibilities and be like, okay, this isn't about like what I want to learn. This is about my planet. And so the next part of the answer, I'm going to answer because I know who you are. And so I'm saying this in full confidence that this is a positive comment to you, right? I mean, this is why you're supposed to submit to your husband. It's because that world is a world you don't want to be in. And once upon a time, the men were virtuous enough to realize that and defend you from it. And I'm not saying yours doesn't. I'm saying that this spin we're in hasn't realized that. And like once you all like comment on it on Twitter all the time, and man, is it screeching loud in there. Well, yeah, you aren't made for this. We're not really made for this. We've fallen into this, and it's our lot. So we do have what it takes, especially in Christ. But so there's my answer. There's certainly more in that text. It's an amazing story. I love the story just a little before when Jeremiah's letter gets cut up. He sends the letter to the king, and he sits there, just every line, he just slices it off and throws it in the fire. They read the next line, he slices it off, throws it in the fire. That guy, it doesn't end well for him. Does not end well for him at all. But it's such a movie. My goodness. There
are a few things that you said that I was actually thinking as you were talking about just this section. So 41:16 through 18, we see the response of Johanan and the captains. And as you were talking about that, I wrote down, if we take authority that's not given to us by Christ, we become terrified. And then that led me to the thought of women denying the headship authority that is put over them, live in fear and anxiety. And we can see that. I mean, you mentioned Twitter, but you can see that even in more face-to-face contact, even in our own churches. Just the amount of fear that women hold, the stress. It manifests itself in migraines.
For sure.
All the time.
Yeah.
And then you mentioned reading these stories to our sons, and I have been convicted over and over by my parenting of my son. I'm trying to make him learn scripture like a girl. I see him in the pew, and I'm like, oh, he is, even from the time he was tiny, he was not sitting on the pew. It was moving around in the pew area. And I would give him a notebook to take notes on, quote unquote, notes with his little crayons. And all he wanted to do was eat the crayons or drive them like cars. And I was convinced, I'm like, I don't know how to teach him how to go to church and hear God's word and pay attention. And he, time and time again, has been the child who will come to me later and be like, oh, well, it's like in the sermon when this and that and the other thing. Just the other day, he was like, well, it's like it says in Philippians, blah, 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 blah. And I was like, where did you get that? Is that from Wednesday church, like Matin service? And he goes, well, yeah, we've been studying it. I look over at him and he's drawing like
random stuff.
Link. What is that from? Legends of Zelda in his notebook that's supposed to be for sermon notes.
Yep. So doodling's an amazing power. And even if you're doodling something that isn't what you're listening to, it can overlap. However, it is better to doodle what you're listening to or a non-symbolic thing, like just strict doodles.
Right. But
it's in process.
I can't tell you how many times the girls have sat there and been like, Mother, what do you see what he's doing? And then I get sucked into that, like, oh, I need to correct him. I need to tell him how to do it right. And then he's like, oh, well, when Father was talking about this and that and the other thing, it applies to this and that and the other thing. And I'm like,
which is good,
wow,
but this is where having a father in the pew would help, in terms of I've been talking with him about this recently as I try to figure out how do I teach him to signal respect. So I'm in the pew and I don't think the pew is comfortable, but I don't have to like completely throw myself into slouch casual mode either. I can just respect where I am, and that's what really it comes down to for how he would take notes or look like he's paying attention, you know. But everyone kind of grows into that.
I
usually.
honestly, I haven't looked over and been like, oh, he's looking disrespectful. Because, I mean, he's diligently working on his
He was talked to by another
of
Christian man about you know,
what
not
he was
drawing
drawing.
unholy things while in holy places. And I thought it's fair. It's really fair. But I mentioned not having a father in the pew. It is a real pickle of the pastoral office.
But I guess what I'm just trying to say and to illustrate is the point that you made. Like, we don't know why it would necessarily resonate with our children or our sons, for example, but it is in God's word. And so we can trust the Holy Spirit to use it however he wants to in that moment. And he does. He uses things in a way that, as a woman, especially, like, I can have no idea how that's going to impact my son and how it's going to give him strength when he needs it as a man or as an older boy. I
think there's a lot to learn about talking to boys from memories of the Peanuts cartoon, which you've seen, right? And most people who are not super young, I don't know if young people watch Peanuts or not. I know they changed it because the Christmas one talks about Jesus, but in those cartoons, regardless of whatever else is going on, the parents are always like, right. And I think we would understand boys much better if we realized that's in fact true. It's just not. There's the only part that's not true is like every 6th or 7th forward line is absorbed and like believed as if it is the sky came up today, you know, and that one's on, but then there's on, and then again, right? Go to the, you know, and
you say, please do not eat the cheese, and they hear cheese and eat, and they're like, I will eat the cheese, absolutely. Absolutely.
At times. So there's that awareness of how dense a cloud of confusion you're attempting to pierce when you talk to them. I need to learn more of. Mine's pretty sharp, and it's like, oh. Right, what was the one this week? It was we got him to stop doing something to his fingers that we don't think is really good for his fingers. Now I would say popping knuckles instead of, because if I say chewing his nails, and then what happens next? Chewing his I got him to stop. We've got him to stop popping his fingers, and he fixed that problem by popping his toes. And so I had to have a talk about it. It's the same problem, son. It's the same problem.
Yeah.
What was that guy's name? The guy who did the peanut stuff was famous in California. He had so much money, and he gave a lot of it away in Northern California. And the college I went to was like had stuff with his name, Charles. It was Charles, like
that rings a bell, but
it's not
couldn't
Schwab,
tell you.
Charles Schwab. But anyhow,
really, so Charlie Brown, was by Charles.
Yeah, I think so.
Blah blah
yeah,
blah.
I think so.
Correct us if we're wrong.
Yeah, please. Oh, someone did point out that it is Percy Jackson.
Thank you. I was like, Jack. Jackson. Okay.
I'm going to jump over to a different question. That is from Mia. And it says, why do the Gen Xers and millennials not have a conscience or guilt that inspires them to give to charity? This was a comment question that was on last week's about, boomers. This one's going the other way. Why don't Gen X and millennials give to charity? Where is their sense of, she says, guilt? Duty would maybe be a step above that. I mean, I know I don't give to charities. I don't trust the middleman at all. I know that it's not going to the charity. So why would I give to it? Like, it's not going to, I would rather give to the actual person. And
we're like, we went to Ethiopia. We didn't see those children that they showed us pictures of our whole childhood. What's going on?
Well, we didn't quite do that, but that's the idea.
I mean,
that's
like,
the idea.
yeah.
Right.
It's
and we've been
trust.
in enough different places with different groups. So it's not like one group or a different group or one tradition or different tradition. It's just enough of it. It's the institutionalism of crony Americanism. And so I think that's why I think there are new charities that are formed all the time. I think most of the ones that you ever hear about are formed to make money. And they do, and by working around the system. The people who've been at these games have been at them for a very long time, and they know how to hide money generationally, and they know how to use that money to move bigger machinery than just your local plant of this or that. So not trusting, the latest, greatest clean water in Africa thing, or the most recent person from Africa who friends you on Facebook and says, "Hi, I'm a person in Africa. I make Christians. Here's some orphans," right? Like, at a certain point, you just don't believe them anymore. So what's happened is the devil has cut off charity in one sense by crying wolf, right? But charity has become about mammon. Charity has been about giving money. Most people think of charity as giving money. And I don't like the whole "I don't give money, I give time" thing, because frankly, if you come to church, we've got to pay for the lights somehow. So I don't buy that. Okay. If you don't have any money to give, that's fine. But don't tell me you give time instead. Okay. You don't give time instead. You give money and you give time. You should do both. But giving time to charitable life, right? To charity, which is the word love in Latin, right? To pursue charity toward other humans at all times. This is Christianity. And so I don't give to a charity, grammatically speaking. I am charitable. That's what I want to be. I'm be charitable with a beggar. I'm be charitable with my neighbor. I don't think that means don't give to a charity. By all means, if you find one you can trust, hey, Darkshire, coming your way. But I think that's a big part of why we're just jaded by all the advertisements. I got a little lady at church every week tells me about all 65 pieces of mail.
Oh my goodness!
And they're all asking for money, and she's like, "I can only give to a few of them." And I'm like, "Oh, this woman, she's on a fixed income. I can't stop her. I can't stop her." But yeah.
Yeah, it's sad because it is literally the widow's mite story in real life. And you're just like, stop. No.
What is in real life is Jude. It's of such are the kind who sneak into weak women's homes.
Yeah.
And that God is their belly. And all that. I got one more question I want to definitely get you tonight. We're going to save Jana's other one about Psalm 45 for next time because, it's good. But she has this one this time. Let's go here. Which I found really fun because of the work that Kate did on it, that made it, or Frisbee did on it to make it even more fun. Jenna says, "I was curious if either of you have any thoughts on the fact that a few animal groups are led by matriarchs." Okay, so there's a few animals that are called matriarchal. She lists elephants and hyenas. And she asks, why would God not make patriarchal universal across species? This is pure speculation. God obviously designed men to take the lead in mankind as patriarchs, but I'm curious as to why there are animal groups where the males do not lead, but form bachelor groups apart. Thank you for any thoughts, Jana. So that's an interesting question, and I would have had no answer at all for you, aside from more like actually, my answer would have been what my answer is, which is my guess is that matriarchy is being defined interestingly. My guess is there's fine print involved in almost all of this. So let's just start with elephants for fun. All right. Okay. So there's 7 kind of known animals like this, at least from what our research in a short time could find. Okay. But no, really, it's been looked into. There's 7. Okay. And I'll give them as elephants, hyenas, lemurs, bonobo apes, orcas, lions. Did I get them all? I might have missed one. So, elephants though. Okay. So, It's great. It's the whole story in one moment for me. Okay. So why do the women lead the elephants? Okay. The men all kill each other fighting.
Oh.
The women are the only ones who live like generationally to find the way back and forth to the grounds, right? Like the men just like, it's so, they're the only ones who live long enough because the guys are so guy. You see, it's not different at all, except they're stupider than us. Maybe. So that's one, right? Hyenas, I guess, in the hyena world, in fact, the girls are just bigger than the guys. And that is a weird thing. But remember what a hyena is. A hyena is a dog. So please don't tell me that this is like a model for the ladies of the world. Please don't tell me this, right? Think it through. How are we defining matriarchy versus patriarchy? Obviously not the way you would do in a human social setting. You're dealing with animal groups, dealing with survival mechanics. You are not dealing with social souls in any way, shape, or form, let alone an order of creation reality. So again, why does God not have patriarchy reflect in the animal world? It sure looks like it does. And the few places it doesn't, it kind of still does. It just, it's broken like everywhere else. Orca females live 90 years and they don't roam. So all the babies and girls stay in one spot and the guys leave for long periods of time. And that's matriarchy.
Yeah, that's odd to me.
That's not
it's
matriarchy.
Called a nursery.
Yeah, that's not matriarchy by any stretch. So the lion. Why? Because she handles the food, manages the pride for him while he sits there and lets her do it and then takes all the food. Matriarchy. I don't think so. So again, careful with your question. I can't answer lemurs and bonobo apes. Maybe they really are matriarchal the same way some sort of imagined human queendom would be. But I call foul on the question, modern assumptions in the language itself. And, beware of that. It's a fun question. The elephants just kill each other. I mean, it's so we could learn a lesson, right? It's right there for us. Nature is just right there for us. And in an age where you don't know what it means to be a man or be a woman, is pretty easy. And by the way, that doesn't mean, being a man means strike and smash and that's good. No, it means that you might though. And it's not good. See? So women tend to not do that natively. Strike and smash, right? The same way that they do other things, I'll leave that for a different time. The woman's weapon. It's not striking and smashing. Yeah. So, my phone is like buzzing and making me nervous. I'm going to look at it.
Uh-oh. It's beside you, isn't it? By your little...
it's right there. We're getting kicked off YouTube for talking about man and woman.
Using...
Matriarchy. All right. My daughters are texting me pictures of Sweet Rabbit.
So that you can put it in the show title?
Perhaps. Breaking news. Santa Bunny caught catching snowflakes with his tongue. Oh, that's cute. Oh, that's funny. So that horrible picture that they took of him with his tongue out, which was amazing that they caught this. They used the stupid little app thing where you put a Santa hat on him and they put snow everywhere and there's a snowflake on his tongue. Oh, the children.
Sweet rabbit.
Yeah.
So not sweet.
Fair Maiden does have a comment on charities. She says, just went to one group's website a few days ago and used the contact form to ask to be taken off their mailing list. Don't know if it will work, but worth a try to cut down on the junk mail. Charles Schultz, by the way, someone else points out, is indeed the author of the Peanuts.
The real Charlie Brown.
Charles, yeah, he's a good man, or something like that. So, but again, Fair Maiden's point that you just get overwhelmed with the requests for money. So we have gotten to the point where we're tithing to our church, and if we take a step up in giving next year, it will be toward offerings over tithing, and that would be a time when I might consider, what do we do that would be outside of our our local space, but our local space is so filled with value.
Mm-hmm.
And so, you can give over and above outside of your local congregation, or you can give over and above to your local congregation and inspire those there to give as a congregation outside the congregation, right? So that not everything in the plate is just for our lighting bills, and that we take an active mindset in being a charitable place. I tell you, I gave out one of those homeless packets again 2 days ago.
Nice.
Yeah, before my little mistakes. And I, it was one of those moments where I was at the light longer than I thought I would have time. Like I didn't see him right away.
Okay.
And so I was like, oh, there he is. Oh, I'm not going to have time. I'll just not look at him.
Yeah.
I shook my head. Jonathan. I reached over, picked it up, rolled the window. Hey, man. And he looked back. There's no car coming. He crosses the left turn lane to come over, and I hand him the thing, and he just goes, oh, my goodness. Oh, look at that. Oh, thank you. And I did my usual, like, yeah, Jesus Christ is risen from the dead. And he stopped, and he goes, he is.
Nice.
And I said, yeah, amen. He said, amen. And he walked away. I don't know. But golly, he sure made his moment.
Yeah.
And I felt like
tell
a
us
king,
what a homeless packet is.
What's our homeless packet? So this is a lesson I learned from kind of an old friend, Joshua Gale, who's not in our church body anymore. It makes me sad. But, you didn't know that.
Really?
That's a while back.
He used to be a comfort dog thing person.
Well, he did get into that. That was a step on the way out the door, maybe a little bit for him. But but he taught me a few things about the poor in Philadelphia when we were there, and one of them is just how simple the things they really need are, that are either hard to get for them, like they can't buy them at Walgreens easily, or they're not going to buy them because they're going to buy other things. But if you gave them the thing, they would be like, I want this thing. They're just never going to spend cash on it because they're going to spend that on other things. And so, the genius piece out of this is a pair of socks. Any homeless person, it needs another pair of socks, almost always. And so, you can just have a pair of socks, a thing of socks in your car, honestly, and drive around town. And when you see a homeless person, just hand them a pair of socks, and that's a way to be charitable. Right. And so we just applied that idea to, okay, well, let's get a gallon Ziploc bag. Let's put a pair of socks in it. Let's put some meat jerky sticks in it. Let's put some healthy snacks and a water bottle and a small catechism and what else we can think of. Hey, let's open up, have people donate. And so we've been doing this for a couple of years, and we probably give away 60 packets a year, maybe 70, maybe more. They're in a box in the narthex. We say, take a packet, give it away. Not everyone does. Some people do. Different times. If I remind people, they disappear faster. And I don't know if we're known in the poor among Rockford. I don't care, because like the big insight to me about this kind of charity is it just isn't for anything other than that actual moment. Yeah. And this whole, what if they don't deserve it, or they can't pay it back, or they're going to spend it on alcohol? All of this is like, the point is you're seeing them at that moment as a human being, and you have what they don't have. Yeah. And they ask, and you're like, this world's passing away. Sure. That's the message. This world's passing away. I got enough to share. And that in action and practice as a discipline, again, if you have the right feelings, discipline them into existence. Do it. It's not fake it till you make it. It's do it till you learn how. Practice. And so, I'm a stingy person by nature. I inherited a very stingy view of money, and so it's definitely in me. And so like, it's not like charity just like oozes out of me. I woke up born in the Spirit, and here's charity from Jonathan. No. But like Sons of Solomon, repeating the scriptures day in, day out. Oh, these poor matter. Oh, charity is real. Oh, this is why we're here. Oh, I don't have to feel it for it to count. I can just do it. And it isn't long before you start to feel it when you do it. Right? Like, I had a moment of shame when I hung my head before I opened the window with that guy. But it was because I was remembering how often I'd looked past people in the past, and I didn't want to be that anymore.
Yeah.
It wasn't like I have to give this guy his stuff now. It was like, oh, I missed my opportunity. I don't want to, I don't want to go past somebody who could use a can of sardines. I don't care if they like it or not. It's going to be good for them. And so we call them homeless packets for lack of a better phrase, but that's, St. Paul gives some money now to the local life clinic, and then we do this, and this is our charity at the moment. I think it's the kind of thing that blesses itself. Because again, you don't need a refund from the charity for it to be valuable to you.
Yeah.
It's just valuable as it is.
It is a very real moment to look those people in the eye and like you said, how excited they get over something that we take for granted.
To be able to help.
Yeah. And they have gotten to know us, a few of them specifically. Like there's one guy who would be like, oh, snacks. Hey, where's your husband? I just saw him driving this car the other day.
That's funny.
It's like, oh, it's my turn today. Oh.
Yeah. But that's, you throw those, we did Sons of Solomon packets. We did Luther's Small Catechism. There was like a Psalm 1 bookmark at one point. So you put those things in there, and you don't assume it's ever going to like just turn that person's life around. But every single one of those people was a baby. Every single one of those people was raised somewhere, knows something, most of them heard about Jesus. A lot of them haven't said, I don't believe, but aren't going to get cared for. So if it's only just enough to like poke him again, like the guy, he is alive, and I don't know, maybe he's on a drug trip and he doesn't know what he's talking about, but maybe he does. And so again, it's just believing in the power of the local, and then also believing in the refractive power of God's ability to send an answer. So I give out all these packets and I don't get a single one back, but you know what? God answers in other ways, right?
Yeah.
So just cast your bread upon the water; it'll come back after many days.
And it makes the people in your community real.
Yeah.
As opposed to just an ornament that is kind of disgusting and you don't want to see it.
Yeah, right. Litter.
Yeah.
Bit of litter and trash. Well, we're going to go at least another 15 minutes here.
Very good.
And so we can kind of shift into anything at this point. I keep thinking about that picture behind you because I'm real excited about that.
And
getting to blow that one up.
Can they see it?
A little bit. It's there.
So.
It'll be more when it is when I want it to be. So that's just where my mind is. That's one of the ones that I did the work to make it bigger, and it would sit right behind you, and the blue and red on it would just look really cool there. But I don't know if I want to get a print for it yet. And I haven't looked at what the prints. I looked at the canvas for a 4 foot by 4 foot.
Okay.
And that's a expensive thing. So I mean, I might get a couple, but to have and sign and see what happens. But they'll be very specific pieces of work. Like I'm not just going to print anything. I'm going to print what I think is worth printing so that it would endure. And but they also do just like this one behind you is just a canvas print rather than a wrapped canvas, and they're a lot cheaper than the wrapped canvas. Yeah. So that's what I probably will do is get a bigger one of those again to test it and see. But really impressed with the enhancement technology for taking these images from 1,000 or even 512 pixels to 4,000 pixels, and things I thought were beautiful before, the brush strokes becoming more clear. It just really stunning stuff. And you and I have talked about this just today, I think, brush strokes. They're not brush strokes. There's no brush that was ever used in the entire thing. It's all done by code and a sort of reflective imitation, just as any digital art is done. Because nobody using an Apple Pencil is using a brush. They're not. They're mimicking a brush through refractive information technology. And I don't have a problem with that. I don't have a problem with this. But I do think that beauty, when it is beautiful, will reflect real things. It will not be unnatural. And so when I get to see the brushstrokes in my favorite pieces that I worked hard to make, because it's not easy to tell a stupid robot what you want. It's not easy. It fulfills something in me that as a I don't know, somebody that has pursued an art for a long time and just never, I guess, I would have gone back and drawn like 2 years ago. I mean, I bought paintbrushes. I worked, but I just, as a pastor, I was never going to get the time to do it. We know a pastor who, what did he do? He retired, painted, right? Like you can do it once you retire. So to be able to do it and see it and have these ideas that are, I mean, the one behind you is a heart, but I'm very excited about the heart because it speaks to me. It's my art. I don't expect anybody else to want to buy that or care about having that on their wall. But I do think beautiful pictures of Jesus, beautiful pictures of the stories of the Bible, beautiful pictures that inspire faith, that people would want to have those like on a card, right? So that's where I'm going with all of it. But because I just want to share the beauty that I found in it. Yeah. And that's why I'm talking about it. I love the kind of pictures I've become able to draw because of the weird age we live in. And rather than be ashamed of it or hide from it or fear it, I want to use it to spit some good seed again. Yeah. And so anyway,
so this is a heart series and it's Psalm 139.
Yeah, correct? It was based on Search Me, O God, and Know My Heart, Try Me, and Find My Anxiety. And there's really 2 series that came out of it, but only one that I've got on the Fine Art America as cards right now. The other one is a little more, I don't know. I like it a lot, but it's more masculine. This one's actually pretty, it's got thorns and spikes and kind of crunchiness to it. The other one's got a little more even discord and scribble on it, but it's also filled with color and hope and grass and blue skies and stuff. So, but it just, as I'm thinking about what to take the time to put into the website so that it could possibly be purchased. And my goal again would now be to, you want to watch me do this in real time, I'm going to invest in this on my own. I'm going to buy some of my own cards and see if we can get a little local thing going at a springtime festival is coming up. And so I'm going to put out the stuff I think others will want to see. And that other series, so this is Search Me. The one behind you is Search Me, because the other series is called My Anxiety, right? Oh. So it's a little more like that. And but it is Psalm 139, and they do go together. That prayer at the end of the psalm is that God would expose to you your fear, so that you would now fear Him instead, and then be led in the way of everlasting life. That you're not going to have anxiety when you have the fear of Jesus. They don't coexist in the same moment. So you want less anxiety, get more fear of Jesus. And His yoke is light. His way is not burdensome. The new commandment is not a hard one. Love. Again.
So if I wanted to peek at what you're doing, I go to Fine Art America.
Right now,
is there any way that I can look at
I'm
your
happy
stuff?
RevFisk.com, and in the upper menu bar, art. So there's like 5 things on the top now. I've really shortened what's available there. So if you want the fiction, it's all under fiction. If you want to listen to stuff, so learn to listen, right? I don't have a different thing for everything out there. And then art will take you to a website that is from Fine Art America, but it's just my art.
Yeah. Okay.
And on that website, any art piece you click, you can buy all sorts of stuff
A
that
duvet cover.
I know, the bathroom curtain. It's you can't turn off options. I really would have just had to be cards,
okay.
but cards, stationery, and they do look really nice as canvas prints. In fact, one of the things you can, let's see if I can pull this up here. I know I can pull this up here. It's going to take me a second to get to this. I don't know if you can see Meridith on the screen there, right? So they've got it kind of what it would look like.
Nice.
And those are pretty beautiful looking things, right?
Yeah.
Now we're out of this. And actually the one that's behind on the desktop there for the viewers, you can see, and that's what the brushstrokes just really came out in this. And the artists that are behind this, a lot of what I'm doing, the reason it works so well is I am imitating other artists specifically and then merging them intentionally. And then, so far as I understand it, talking to the computer about those styles with special language that, because it's a self-learning process, it should learn those keywords as related to the art as I feed it back positive reviews. So I'm trying to teach it to actually know who I am. I don't know if it will, but and different ones are, and I'm using more than one now, but again, I don't know where that was going other than the brushstrokes, and the power of seeing the detail of these really, I'll give you one of the guys I use, Michelangelo. Michelangelo is a part of almost everything I do. How would you know? Well, it's a lot of stuff mashed together. Nobody else is doing this. That's what's fun about it. You make whatever you want, right? If all you ever do is go, let's do Superman doing a stupid polka dance. Okay, great. AI, fun for the nerds. But no, if you like art history and want to study, you want to know what it would look like if two artists met? Man. And again, just throw the name Jesus in there and you got beautiful stuff starts showing up. So I do what you will with it. I'm going to try to sell cars to my neighborhood. And there's a lesson here too, by the way. So I'll put this stuff online and I hope some of you will buy it because I think it's beautiful. And so I think it's worth giving to people. Right? I want to buy these cars to give them to people. And that's why I'm making them. But it really, I had this moment where I was kind of in that pre-2020, so, build an internet business. Build an internet business. And I don't know, maybe I should, but I don't want to. I'd rather build a local one. And I don't think it's impossible. And I think this tool is it's here for me. Anyone else could figure it out too. It is not rocket science. It does take work. It is not rocket science. And that's the powerful thing about the chatbots as well, as they can teach you how to do anything. They can teach you how to ask them how to teach you. It's just a tutor. It's just a robot tutor with the internet pre-21 as its reference point. And yeah, it's got limitations and they sell you higher end versions and all this. But we're at a point where you can decide not to use AI tools because you believe there's something great and evil about them and they're destructive. And I'll respect that. I disagree, but I'll respect that. If you do that, you're choosing a certain type of limited future for yourself that I think is actually a smokescreen, because the AI is going to be active in all the stuff you're doing, whether you know it or not. It already is behind so much of the internet already. They're just already the way websites are learning to self-correct. They're language models are being built for within websites that will enact. The chatbot that you deal with is going to get better and better and better. That kind of stuff. But even more like targeting. Anyway, when you go to Facebook and that ad for the thing that you were at a website looking at recently shows up at Facebook, that's how it works, right? It's not different than that. So we're not escaping this. So it's here, and it's like YouTube was in 2008. When if you just get on it and make videos, suddenly you're the only one on it making videos in your neck of the woods, right? So here you are. These tools are really for the taking. And so I want to share that too. If you don't want to make art, that's great. You don't have to. You can like mine. But I think that it's bigger than just art. It's a time and a mindset. Are we optimistic about the future as Christians? If God is going to change things around us, does it have to be by destroying everything, or can we do it the way it ought to be done? Yeah. So that's where I'm at.
Yeah, it would seem that as Christians to live our faith is not to deny the use of a zipper.
Yeah, right.
Or a snap.
Right.
And so to get caught up in those very surface level matters,
right.
It misses the point of why we're here. And I love the way that Daniel, Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego become who they are in Babylon.
Yeah. Huh.
They don't take on every aspect of the new Babylonian culture, but they also become the wise men in Babylonian culture.
That's right.
They didn't forget where they came from, but they also they use the wisdom of God's word to lead them.
The original Wizard. It's like a 7-part RevFisk Raw series. I didn't get all the way through Daniel, but I got into it, and I know if I went back, I wouldn't like it now. But it's kind of classic post WeTV Fisk. The whole idea, though, when Daniel is walking around in his 80s, and you got these 30-year-old Babylonians, born and raised Babylon, Judea fell generation and a half ago. That was the old war, right? And this guy just walks through the room. You're just kind of like that ghost, man. And he speaks whatever language. He's always staring at the stars, and it's and that guy's a Christian, and he's running the country well.
Yes. So they became the wisest of their new culture.
Yeah.
And yet did not bow down to their new culture.
Right. Absolutely.
So
reign.
There you have it.
They reigned. Would that you reigned. One of my favorite new finds this year, I want to say it's 2 Corinthians, Paul, and would that you reigned. He tells the Corinthians that they do, that they're above him, that they are royal in God's sight before the world, and then he's like, so act like it. Would that you reigned. And to me, that always is an inspiration to the Word of God on my lips, and my increasing and firmly held conviction that the more you quote the Bible when you talk, the less people are able to disagree with you. If they're Christians. You're obviously going to have the scoffers going to be like, but they're obvious because they're only going to disagree with you. They're just not going to agree with anything you say.
That's crazy making is what that is. Oh, Christ have mercy.
So, but Christians are going to be like, oh yeah, that makes sense. And it's really something, I would have thought they'd teach me that at seminary. Not trying to call shots yet, but really that's gone a lot further in pastoral care than Dr. Pieper ever did. I think Dr. Pieper's worth keeping around, but
yeah.
All the lessons in political intrigue I learned in pastoral ministry. Oh my goodness, Jesus have mercy on the LCMS. And it wasn't, I don't want to make it sound like it's too bad, but really, the amount of trust we put in the offices and the voting that we do, the time, the ink spilt, the blood of hearts shed over it. It's just, for what? A couple of universities that we can't even keep? What do we think we're holding on to? I don't know. What's our identity? Walther's statue in the IC? What is it? What are we trying to be? And so again, I'm not out. I'm talking to the choir, of course, but like, I do think these are really important questions for what the next level of Lutheran Christianity will be on the continent. I think that's why, Brief History of Power as a show is what it is. So we're asking these questions there, very, very frankly, very directly. I want to give you one more moment. I just feel like you've got something else really valuable to say that you haven't said yet.
Well, that's very kind. Well, I guess as I was contemplating the show and kind of getting ready for the show, one thing that kept popping into my mind is how close we are to Christ Mass, Christmas, how much this season holds for people as they anticipate, as they prepare, as we try to slow down and give focus where focus is due. And I guess I wanted to talk to you, Jonathan, just a little bit about, as the father of the home, like what do you think is really important that you instill right now in our kids
in the next 10 days?
Yeah. Like as we're in Advent, what?
I want to act like the world's going to end on Christmas morning and we all expect it to. I always like sell everything we own, go on a hilltop and wait.
Oh.
Yeah, no, not quite. They did that in the 1870s. A couple of groups. Yeah. So, but it, it's a good story. No, but like as an in-house game, I think that notion that Advent is Christmas as anticipation. It's not Christmas. It's anticipating Christmas. That's what we're excited about. And so like, I want to recapture that because that was taken away by this whole, it's not Christmas yet. It's not Christmas yet. And whatever I picked that up at, seminary or otherwise, I don't know, but like, I'm sorry. Treasure of Daily Prayer is very clear.
We are in the time of Christmas and it lasts for several months. Well, I couldn't even find the end of it the other day.
I think it's Christmas till Lent.
Okay.
Epiphany might be the end of the time period, but I think it's till Lent.
It goes really far.
Yeah, it's till Lent. So you can say Merry Christmas till Lent. You can leave your lights up till Lent. We do that anyway, right?
We do.
In fact, that was the best. So when the kids talked today about how maybe we won't have something going up, I was like, wait a minute. Don't we normally have Christmas lights up? And that was in my head, that part. Okay. And then what came out was, when did we take the Christmas lights down? And Chloe's like, July.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, we were going to paint. Didn't paint yet.
Well, we went to Alaska.
Yeah.
That was a gift, unexpected and blessed.
Yeah, so an odd thing we had, first off in our marriage, we didn't have a Christmas tree. We had a string of lights, and then we put pine cones
from the seminary campus.
Yes, that we still have.
That we gathered in the snow on Christmas Day? Or was it before that?
I think it was before that.
We stayed home. There was Christmas break. No one was on campus. It snowed Christmas Day, and we walked around campus. That was amazing.
Yeah, we had hummus.
I don't remember the hummus.
And
I believe you, though.
I had knitted myself a scarf, and I used really tiny knitting needles. Really warm scarf, let me tell you.
That's funny.
But so we didn't have a Christmas tree, and then we finally ended up getting a Costco membership.
I bought a tree that goes at the foot of your mansion's banister.
It's like called a topiary.
3.5 feet. It was beautiful. It lasted for a long time. That fake little Christmas tree.
It did.
Yeah.
we lived in Naperville
Yeah.
when that tree finally,
Died.
your father actually came and was like, I don't care what you say. I'm buying you a different Christmas tree.
It lasted 2 years.
And
Piece of junk.
so we hauled the bigger fake Christmas tree to North Dakota and St. Louis and here.
Yeah. 2.5, 3
And finally,
years.
when I was like, Jonathan, this is a fake Christmas tree, and I have to vacuum up its pine needles, plastic pine needles, like multiple times a week. I don't understand what's happening.
It's realism.
We
It's survival realism. See, I play Fallout. I max it out. I get a fake tree. The leaves fall off it. It's all about survival realism.
So we decided, let's
We're
do
gonna get
the
some
real thing.
pine essential oil and spray the needles so that they cause allergies.
There you go. Complete. Ding. So then last week we talked about our real Christmas tree experience where we got Ferdinand, the living Christmas tree, and then the tiny Christmas tree that the girls and I shoved in the Prius, which, yeah. And then you actually did hold up as a Christmas greeting. Yes, whoever that was, it was like, hey, was that the Christmas tree in your Christmas greeting? Yes, it was. I forgot about the Christmas greeting on Discord. Whose needle stuck in my eye as I was bringing it to the burn pile. So we don't have a Christmas tree. This is all to say we don't have a Christmas tree.
Yes. As part of you asking me what I think is important between now and
you were saying that we leave it up. And I was saying, why do we leave it up? Well, we were given a daughter one year, whose name is Sophia, like Chelsea's. And she actually died at the end of January, right before I literally was planning to take the Christmas tree down. And then, so I had to be not on total bed rest, but, pretty out of commission until Lent. And I took the Christmas tree down on Ash Wednesday that year. And so ever since then, it's kind of like what I do. Not for Sophia, just in remembrance of her.
Sure, absolutely.
So this year, though, July. We went to July. We just, it was just.
Well, and now we don't have anything
fun.
up. Right. We didn't take it down to July, and now it's not up again. So, yeah. I wonder if men living in a cave would get a Christmas tree, or if it's only after they move out and marry women and have their own caves that they all get trees at that point. My guess is most bachelors get a tree, but it's probably not like quite the way the women would do it.
There was a bachelor up the road whose grandmother died, and then voila, he had a Christmas tree. So, but I don't know if that was his mother's
I'm talking more like when you have when you have like a bunch of guys that move out in their 20s and they're living together, like,
oh, sure.
I'm pretty sure it's not the same.
What's important at Christmas?
Yeah.
Is it to decorate a Christmas
Probably
tree?
not.
They're stringing the popcorn on the string with the needle.
No. It's like there's the tree and it's in the corner and the beer is under the tree.
Right.
Okay. So,
yeah.
I don't know. The comment is along the lines of that. Isn't it interesting how often decorating the tree is the woman's prerogative?
And it's like her
thing?
pressure. Like she puts it on the family.
Absolutely.
We have to go get the Christmas tree.
And she feels it herself. Right?
Yes.
So there's like this, but it's not like dad's like, man, if we don't get that tree up this year, I'm going to not know what to do with myself.
Where will I put all the presents?
That's right.
Now, that has been a little bit of a conundrum.
Oh, the sour
Where do we put the presents? So, Sweet Rabbit lives now in a dog kennel and has been covered with a tablecloth.
That's great.
He can still see out. He's not in a complete cave, but he has the presents on his house now.
For our little house, we've done what we could with what we had.
fun little adventure I went on the other night. So then the one night you and I got to go on a walk together before the sunset. And then the following night I was like, I really have to go for a walk because I had been sitting for a very long time. And you were like, go on your walk. I'm not going to go tonight. And I got a little lost as far as just not knowing where I was going, but more just, it was a really great experience to walk through the neighborhood that typically, you know, the sun goes down and the lights are out and it's kind of dark here because everybody's watching their TVs.
This county.
And the lights aren't on in the homes. But a lot of people have decorated. So I'm walking along, and then up in front of me, there is a light rainbow.
Oh, cool.
Somebody made a Christmas rainbow across. I don't know.
It might not be so cool.
I don't know if these neighbors communicated, but it goes from one side of the street on one person's property and then links to another tree and goes down the other side. It's pretty incredible.
Wow.
Yeah. It's kind of worth if you're in the area.
What kind of rainbow is it? Is it clearly a pressure?
Honestly,
is it a pressure rainbow?
It looks like two candy canes stuck together.
Cool.
Like
the candy canes that are multicolored candy canes.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because it's just multicolored lights
that
have been wrapped around the trunk, and then they took and did it across a branch that then connects to another tree's branch. That's
here on our road?
Yeah, so it's up when you go
it's okay.
towards the other neighborhood that we will not speak of.
The country for the natives?
No, the other direction.
The other one.
By the chickens.
Yeah, the woods. For the what are those things called? Tannin sticks?
Tannin rods.
Tannin rods. Inside joke. We'll leave that for another time. Hey, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to Stop the White Noise with Jonathan and Meredith. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Meredith.
Please do consider supporting us at subscribestar.com/RevFisk, or you can become a paid subscriber at RevFisk.com. The daily Ziklag is going to be free. Kind of still working on the model, but definitely all free all the time. It is going to be early content. Early access to special content will be what your paid subscribers get. Nice. But if you would like to support us, again, that's an easy way to do it, is just to pay subscribe through Substack. We have pitched sonsofsolomon.net. We have mentioned a brief history of power.com. You want to find a brief history of power on Spotify. Going to be your fastest way to find that. Also, RevFisk saved all of my sermons on Spotify as well as YouTube. And there's one
Hebron Collegium.
The Hebron Collegium, which we haven't mentioned for a while. It's going a little quiet, going a little dark. Just kind of polishing a corner here and there.
You might see the Christmas rainbow. It's down the road.
Down the road. I see what you're saying.
Like, what?
Well, I want everyone to know that the Hebron Collegium is still there, and is going into something of a dark mode, meaning that the publication of it as a come one, come all is less important right now than the pace of the current student body and working with the current student body to ensure success in their journeys. Two gentlemen, both
quality, not quantity.
Yeah, right. And so, again, you are welcome. It is a retreat center, and we'd love to have you stop through. If you are a young man looking for a place to develop your skills for a week, 2 or a 3-month period, $10 a day is the survival package here. And the one thing that there's 2 of them in there now. I told the younger one he's going to be away for a bit and maybe come back. What it really needs more is like 3 more of you. And actually, it struck me today. I realized something about every single person who has come here as a man, not including pastors passing through, what they are looking for is a friend. And now that I know that, I think I can even be better at receiving them. I've been the best friend I could. Now I realize that's not really my task. My task is to get them to see that whoever's in the house with them at this moment is the friend God made for them. And I think back to those 3 and 4 guys last year, and I think about what a team they could have been. The genius. We had, those guys weren't dumb, right? We've been thinking more and more about, intellectual capacity and, who should be a pastor and things like that. Those were 4 sharp dudes, they had they're sharp, and like you put them together in some sort of like squad that goes off somewhere and they're all, those were amazing men. I did not have it in me to help them see God made them to be friends. And in fact, like the first night, like the 2 of them really didn't want to be friends. Right. But it's like, if only they had been. And so that's my lesson as a mentor here.
We had
9 over the 6 over the year. Yeah. There were the 4 that were there the longest, but yeah.
Like that's a good crew.
There were 6. Yeah. And then, and 2 for.
And now we have 2
2
more.
for now. And those are permanent residents. That's not including passing through. So
right.
Yeah, that's something, huh? In a year and a half, and we're not done. We're just getting started. So I already mentioned you're listening to Stop the White Noise with Jonathan and Meredith. So we'll do it again. I'm Jonathan.
And I'm Meredith.
And Jesus Christ is risen from the dead, which is why you know that no matter what else comes next, he has paid for you. And you're immortal now. You're not going to die, but you're going to live and declare the works of Jesus Christ. This is Christianity. You should join us. Don't wallow in the muck with those who have no hope. Lift up your head all the more as you see the day approaching. Rock on. Hallelujah and Merry Christmas.
Was that worth $1? Click the Patreon link in the show notes to sign up. Pretty please?